A social media influencer gets scammed and thrown onto a secluded island with no food or water. With the hopes of finding inspiration, a rising influencer named Madison journeys to Thailand alone. One day, she is approached by a woman with the freakiest birthmark, who shows her around and makes her days bright. Things hit a downward spiral when the freaky girl ditches her on a secluded island and steals her social life from her. This leads Madison's boyfriend, Ryan, to visit Thailand and investigate Madison's disappearance, but it doesn't go as planned. Strap in, movie enthusiasts, it's recap time. Today, we will be recapping a film named Influencer from the year 2022, which will make you rethink about traveling alone. I hope you enjoy the video, so let's start. The film begins with a social media influencer named Madison, who happens to narrate her thoughts on finding inspiration from traveling and exploring different parts of the world. This inspiration has dragged her to a vacation in Thailand, where she's bought a luxurious villa for her stay. It is revealed through a video call between Madison and her guy friend that Madison is living her life quite the opposite of the one she's portraying on social media. She feels lonely due to her boyfriend Ryan, who was supposed to join Madison on her trip, but he bailed at the last minute. The following night, Madison visits the reception area, which supervises all the villas, including Madison's. There, an old fellow joins her and offers to show her around, but a girl named CW intervenes and steals Madison from that old man. She takes Madison out on a stroll and warns her not to hang out with strangers since that can bring unimagined dangers. Hearing CW's concerns, Madison finds her friendly and trusting enough to get on her bike and see the town. CW takes her to a beautiful spot just before the sunrise and makes her see the first ray. Madison tries to get her into her vlogs, but CW hides her face and claims she doesn't like being photographed. Madison respects her privacy and spends the entire day with her, exploring some of the most beautiful sea sights and elephant zoos. However, when she returns to her villa, she finds her place ransacked and her passport gone. She immediately calls CW, who helps her file a report for the attempted robbery. Madison gets disappointed when CW enlightens her with the fact that her new passport will take over 2 weeks to arrive and that she will have to visit the embassy in Bangkok, which will issue her new passport. Madison doesn't like the idea of staying for another 2 weeks in Thailand, so CW offers her to join her at her place and have fun exploring new areas. Before leaving, Madison calls Ryan, who is drowning in his work. When he finds out about the stolen passports, he blames Madison for it, which breaks her heart. She ends the call by announcing her breakup with him. Ryan doesn't take it seriously and tells her to call him in the morning. Now, Madison flees with CW and spends the night at her place. When Madison approaches CW to talk about their next hangout spot, CW excites Madison by revealing she has something else planned for her. The next morning, she takes Madison to a seaport, where she unties her own motorboat. After hours of boat riding, CW stops by a secluded island. The minute Madison steps foot on the island, she finds her phone service gone. She ignores that and spends the day with CW carelessly. At night, CW sets up a bonfire, which reignites Madison's old memories about a freaky girl from her scout who would conspire the scariest theories possible. Madison claims that if that girl were here, she would have told Madison that CW had brought her to this island to take her life. CW goes cold and reveals her entire plan of ditching her on the island and stealing her identity, but Madison laughs it off and assumes she's only trying to compete with her old freaky scouts girl. However, CW does exactly what she claims. The next morning, CW wakes up before Madison and flees with the boat. The scenes cut to 3 weeks later, where Madison is seen taking over Madison's giant villa. She puts on a blonde wig and shoots for the sponsored brand. She then uses the dark web to edit Madison's face on top of hers in the pictures and upload them to Madison's social accounts to not let her followers suspect her disappearance. She even gets a hold of Madison's credit cards and tells the bank to increase the credit limit so that she can get maximum debt under Madison's name. A few days later, she targets a new influencer named Jessica by searching the hashtag Bangkok on social media and seeing everyone who has used the hashtag. She stalks Jessica's public profile and finds out where she's currently staying. She stalks her for the entire night and finally approaches her in an antique shop and offers Jessica to show around other shops from where she can get authentic sculptures, but the clever Jessica keeps her distance by refusing to join her. CW returns to the villa disappointed and opens Jessica's profile in order to find another way to talk to her. On Jessica's profile, she finds out she helps mentally struggling people by getting them to sign up on her team. Upon getting this information, she approaches Jessica in a bar that night and confesses she's her biggest fan who's been stalking her for the past few days. Furthermore, she gets Jessica's attention by stealing Madison's sad story about her boyfriend bailing out on her, which helps gain Jessica's sympathies. CW realizes Jessica would do anything to feed social media, so she asks her to join her in her luxurious villa, saying she gets bored alone. Jessica excitedly takes her photographer to the villa, not knowing it belongs to CW's previous victim, Madison. There, she apologizes to CW for bailing out on her and meeting some potential business clients who want to sponsor her. CW doesn't mind and lets her go, but Jessica promises to come back and show her a spot she knows. Now, CW sneaks into Jessica's hotel and uses the stolen room key to break into her room while Jessica is out meeting her clients. When Jessica gets back, she finds her passport stolen and immediately calls CW, since she happens to be the only one she knows in town. Just as she had done to Madison, CW offers Jessica to stay at her villa from now on, since it's dangerous for tourists to live in hotels. When CW comes back to the villa with Jessica, she finds Ryan there, who's ready to surprise Madison and apologize to her for not responding to him. There, CW lies about being Madison's friend and claims that it's her villa and Madison was only staying with her as a friend. Ryan claps back at her, reminding her that the place is under Madison's name and he's paying for the villa. CW quickly sends Jessica away to her room and makes up lies about Madison. Ryan buys her lies and agrees to share the villa with her, despite knowing that Madison would never befriend a stranger. The next morning, Ryan meets CW in the kitchen. He receives a call from Madison, so he rushes to the balcony to attend it. Unbeknownst to him, it is the evil CW who has called Ryan from Madison's number. She uses a deep-fake AI feature to replicate Madison's voice and tells Ryan that she's breaking up with him and that he must leave the villa. Ryan tries to apologize, but Madison doesn't listen once. This infuriates Ryan into spilling that he was the one who made Madison a growing influencer, yet she has the audacity to ditch him at her peak. Simultaneously, Jessica shows up and asks CW to join her at the spot she promised her yesterday. When CW claims she's busy on the computer, Ryan vouches to go with her. But CW doesn't want to take any risks by leaving the two alone, so she gives up her work and joins Jessica. At the hangout spot, they send CW to grab their food, and in the meantime, Ryan spits out his suspicions about CW, claiming that he bought the villa for Madison, but her passports were stolen, and she hasn't personally contacted him ever since. The clever Jessica senses CW's motives and decides to leave the villa before CW and Ryan get home from the bar they're currently hanging at. Before that, she texts Madison on her Instagram account, sharing her mutual passport stealing incident and concerns about CW. Since CW has Madison's phone, she gets notified and runs back to the villa to stop Jessica. She tries to act innocent, but when Jessica unveils her ugly intentions and tries to leave, CW smashes her head against a stone wall and slashes her throat with her heel. She then puts her body in her suitcase before Ryan shows up. Ryan brings home company, which is not tolerated by CW. She tells him to kick them out on her behalf, claiming that she pays Madison for the villa and equally owns it. The next morning, while keeping tabs on Madison, he sees Madison's posing with another man and announcing in the caption that she's moved on with another man. CW takes him on a road trip, but he stops at a spot and tells him how he's finding all of this suspicious since Madison would never move on this fast and refuse to return to America. CW pollutes his mind with all the negative talk and takes him to a bar, where she gets him drunk and dozed off. She gets him back to the villa at night, undresses him, and makes it look like he slept with her. She wakes him up the next morning and drops him at the port, from where he takes the ferry and goes back to America. She ends things with Ryan on a good note, so he doesn't suspect her. She goes back to the villa and burns off Madison's belongings, hinting that she's going to move on to her next victim. However, things don't sit right with Ryan, and he returns to investigate his missing girlfriend. He approaches the woman at the villa's reception and asks if she's seen Madison in the past week. There, the same old fellow that tried to take Madison out shows up and confirms that he hasn't seen her ever since she left with the girl, who has a birthmark on her face. When Ryan shows him Madison's picture with another man, the old man points out the biggest flaw, saying the picture has no clouds in the background, whereas the weather has been cloudy and rainy for the past few weeks. This gets Ryan's attention, so he calls Madison's guy friend, who also hasn't heard from her in person. Ryan then notices Madison's last video and finds out CW has edited Madison's face on top of hers, so he sneaks into the old villa and attacks CW with a rock. He ties her up and tries to ask her about Madison, but instead, CW claims she would tell the cops about him being a physical abuser. In the end, she agrees to take him to Madison, but on the port near the boat, she attacks Ryan with her tied hands and pushes him into the ocean. She dives in and chokes him to death while untying her hands. She puts his corpse on the boat and goes to the secluded island to dispose of his body. In the front of the island, she finds fresh wood for the bonfire and realizes Madison is still surviving, unlike her other victims. She takes a shovel and starts exploring the island, hoping to find her and finish her this time. Luckily, Madison has learned some real survival skills, which she uses to attack CW from behind, leaving her unconscious on the island. Getting the taste of her own medicine, CW wakes up bloodied and sees Madison fleeing with her boat. Here, the film ends. I hope you liked the story recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Thank you for being a part of Black's Movie Recap. If these tales of mystery and intrigue shivers down your spine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Black's Movie Recap for more bone-chilling narrative. Stay tuned until next time. Stay captivated.